Hey guys, welcome to Soul Old Soul. My name is Maria, and I'm here to share with you a few things that I've made in the last couple months. It's been kind of slow in the sewing department for me, but that was kind of partly due to the fact that work was really busy, and also I was planning a trip to Edinburgh, Scotland to go to a big yarn festival, so of course I had to do some knitting for that. So I was kind of distracted and had to get some knitting projects done rather than the sewing. And if you are interested in knitting, I have a separate YouTube channel, and that is called Tuskenknits. I have a business where I sell hand-dyed yarn online, and I do that full-time. And I love knitting. I love the whole knitting community. It's a huge community. I mean, just to give you an example, this yarn festival I went to in Edinburgh, this was the second year I've gone. I went last year and this year, and I don't know how many thousands of people go to this event, but it's in a huge venue, and it's just packed full of knitters. It's all yarn, all knitting. And it's amazing. Yeah, the knitting world is huge, and it's similar to the sewing world, but I almost feel like knitters get even more obsessed with knitting. I don't know, it's different. So anyway, before I get totally off topic and start rambling, yes, I'm going to share with you a few things I've made. So the two things I'm going to share with you I actually made in January, like the end of January, beginning of February. Yeah, maybe, I think, no, it was February. So the first thing that I made was, sorry, I have a hair somewhere. Don't you just hate that when like you see a hair on your face, but like you don't know where it is? Okay, I think I got it. The first thing I'm going to share with you I made at the beginning of January, and I made it to wear to an event I was doing at a local yarn shop. The shop is called A Little Knitty in Auburn, Washington, and I just brought a bunch of my yarn there and kind of told everyone I was going to be there. So a lot of people who follow me on Instagram got to come and meet me and see my yarn in person. So I made this dress that I'm wearing for that event. And this is the Deer and Doe Sureau dress. So I have the printed pattern here. This was one of the very first patterns I purchased since I got back into sewing. Deer and Doe patterns are just, I think they're perfect. I would wear almost every single one, and I feel like the sizing is really great for pear-shaped women like me. So I'm very small on the top, and then I have a pretty small waist, small bust, and then my butt and hips are definitely the biggest part. So yeah, this dress, I love how simple it is, and I love how it looked like you could do different hacks and variations with it. I've seen some people do a collar. So if you look this up on Google, I think there's even a blog post where someone does a tutorial on how to add a cute little sort of Peter Pan style collar to this. And I was actually planning on doing a version like that because I love that cute little vintage look that a collar gives garments. But in the end, I found this fabric. And okay, let me just talk about this fabric for a minute. I purchased this online from a shop in Seattle, so I could go to the shop. I'm about 45 minutes away, from downtown Seattle, where this shop is located. It's called Drygoods Design, and it's right in downtown Seattle. It's a beautiful shop. They have lots of classes there. You know, famous people like Heather Lou from Closet Case Patterns will come there and do workshops. So anyway, I love this shop, and I've ordered from them online a couple times. They have a very curated selection of fabrics. They don't have a huge selection, but I feel like what they do have is it's very well curated, and it's all kind of in the same sort of minimalist style, and they have a lot of Japanese fabrics too. So this is a Hokkoh linen lawn, so it's apparently 100% linen, but it feels nothing like any linen I've ever felt. It is, it feels like a cotton lawn, very similar to like a Liberty cotton lawn, maybe just a little bit more crisp, like slightly thicker, but I actually like the feel of this even more than Liberty cotton lawn, maybe because it is linen. And I said apparently it's linen because it just does not feel like linen, and I'm not going to argue with the fabric store or the label on it. I'm just going to believe it's linen. It just does not feel like linen. It feels like the most amazingly super soft cotton, because usually linen's kind of scratchy, thicker and crisp, and it wrinkles, but this is just super finely woven. It does not hold wrinkles. Yeah, it's the most beautiful fabric I've ever seen or felt. And the print too. I mean, it's just perfect. It's so hard to find a dark, like ditzy, like small print, like a small floral print on like a dark fabric, I feel like. Most of them are lighter colors, or, you know, pinks or creams. Yeah, it's just, and the quality of the print also is just amazing. When I ordered this and I received it in the mail, I actually cried a little bit, like when I saw it and felt it, and I just had to, I think I was busy working, and I just set it there next to me and just stared at it all day. And every once in a while, like, I kept it in its little plastic bag, but every once in a while I would like take it out and just pet it. So I'm really happy that I found something, the perfect pattern for this, because I do believe this is perfect. So about the pattern, it was very easy to follow. I mean, it's just a very basic dress, so there wasn't a whole lot that was new to me. The facing on the inside is really great. I find it's really hard to have facings that lay flat on the inside. They always seem to want to pop out. And this one, I haven't even tacked it down at all on the inside, and it always just stays flat. I think it just must be the shape of the neckline. Also, when I was looking online at other people's versions of this dress, there aren't too many, but it looked to me like a lot of them had some like gaping kind of around this area, like the dress was kind of standing up a little bit, like it wasn't fitting right on the shoulders. So I was a little concerned about that, but I think I have relatively broad shoulders, so my shoulders don't slope, and I think that might be the issue. If you have shoulders that slope down a little bit, you might need to adjust the shoulder seam so it fits you nice and smooth on the neck and shoulder area. But it fits me perfectly, and that's one thing I love about Deer and Doe patterns. They seem to just fit me right away. I sewed, I believe, the second size, the size 36. which has measurements 33-inch bust, 25.25-inch waist, and 35.5-inch hip, which doesn't really matter on this dress so much, but those are pretty close to my measurements. I have a very small bust. I have a 31.5-inch bust, so there was a 1.5-inch difference there, and then my waist is 26, but I think there was some ease built in, and my hips are much bigger. So yeah, I just made the 36. Again, this was almost 2 months ago that I made this, so I did do a blog post, and that has more pictures and details. I will put in some photos of this dress of me wearing it after I talk about it as well. But if you want to read more about this dress, you can go to that blog post, and I'll put a link below for that. But I mean, it fits me really well. So I did make a couple adjustments. For one, I didn't use the skirt patterns because this fabric is so beautiful. I wanted to use every last inch of it that I could. I didn't want to waste any of it. So the skirt patterns are almost, well, wait a second. Actually, I think I did use the skirt patterns, but I altered them a little bit. Yes, I remember now. So the skirt patterns are just slightly curved. So like they're almost just rectangles, but there's just like a slight curve in the waist on the pattern and then a slight curve on the hem, but it's very, very minimal. So what I did, just to utilize as much of the fabric as I could, I made the skirt a lot more full, because the skirt in the pattern is really not very full. I prefer fuller skirts. I like kind of that more vintage look. I also wanted to use all the fabric that I could, so I just pretty much widened the panels and kind of going with that slight curve a little bit and made them as wide as I could. And it's almost, the skirt circumference is almost twice as big around as in the pattern. So it's much more full. I also shortened the sleeves. So I cut the sleeves on the pattern. I actually cut the sleeves on the length and shorten line on the pattern. So on most patterns, there's a line where you can lengthen or shorten, and it will keep the proportions. So, sorry, it's a beautiful day and there's tons of traffic on our little country road. So I just cut it on that length and shorten line, and it put it at the perfect length to give it sort of a 1940s look. I did just roll it up a tiny bit. I'll show you the length. So that's the length that it's at. So it's just above the elbow. It's a really comfortable length. It doesn't wrinkle, you know, when you bend your arms. And I kind of just like to roll it up just a tiny bit just to have a little bit of a cuff. So I did that, and then what else did I do? I want to add buttons down the front, but I haven't yet. It has a side zipper, so they would just be decorative. Yeah, I keep forgetting, and it looks fine because it's a pretty busy print. And then also I wore this for one day to the event I was talking about, and I realized there was kind of a bit of extra space right below the bust because I don't have a big bust. I think it just wasn't filling things out enough. So I just kind of I pinched in the darts. There's 2 darts right here. And I just pinched them in below the bust and kind of sewed that. And it fits much better now. It feels way more comfortable to me and just lays across my body much nicer. And also I did lengthen the skirt quite a bit. I think I say in my blog post how many inches. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I did lengthen it quite a bit. because in the pattern, I think it's like right above the knee or right at the knee, and mine is definitely more of like a midi length. I think that's all I did. Yeah, I mean, it's a very easy pattern and it's super easy to customize. You could make long sleeves, short sleeves. You could add different types of sleeves. You can change the skirt. Yeah, you can make it in lots of different fabrics, I think, but it works really well for just cottons. You could even use just a quilting cotton. I think it would be great. I love it. I wear it with a slip underneath, so I have like a full body slip, and I wear slips pretty much whenever I wear skirts or dresses. It just makes things more comfortable for one, and when it's cooler like it has been, it really keeps you warm, and it just makes things just lay really nice. I think wearing slips is something we've kind of lost this day and age. I think it's super important, and really it just makes you feel so much better, and it makes the clothes hang so much better. And I think it's something that needs to be like brought back, that we should wear slips even with modern dresses and skirts. So anyway, just my thoughts on that. So here are some photos of me wearing the dress. I also that month, about a week later, I had a photo shoot planned with one of my friends, and we do a photo shoot. Well, this is the second one we've done. I want to do them more often. I kind of do them for my business and my website, just so I have some pretty photos of myself that I feel confident putting up online in like a professional setting. So yeah, we had a photo shoot. So these photos that you'll see are from that photo shoot. So the next thing I made, I also made for the photo shoot, and I wanted to make something vintage, like a vintage top. I wanted it to look authentic, like it was actually vintage. So I got some Liberty cotton lawn. I'll show it to you here. The collar's kind of not sitting right because I had it hanging up and some things were pressing it the wrong way, but this is a Liberty cotton lawn. I think it's the Betsy print in the red colorway. And I actually used a vintage pattern from the 1940s. This one here. I'll see if I can insert a photo of this right here. And this is a simplicity pattern. It is, let's see if it has a number, not 4139. And doesn't have a date on it, but it's definitely 1940s, I would say, like early 1940s. And it has long sleeves, short sleeves, pockets, some different button options. And I think the most interesting part about this pattern is that it has darts on the waist that, so usually darts, this is hard to explain. Usually when you sew darts, they they start out bigger. Like if you're having darts here, like you start out sewing a lot and then you kind of make the darts smaller as you go up. But these, you kind of make the dart the same length all the way up and then it kind of like gathers out. It's really hard to explain, but when I was looking at like 1940s blouses, they all pretty much had that same technique on the waist. So it creates a lot of sort of extra fabric just above the waist. So like if you're wearing a skirt and you tuck the shirt in, it's going to, those darts make it so it already has that tucked in look. So you're not technically like having to wrinkle the shirt to tuck it in, but then the shirt still kind of hangs open loosely so that it looks like it's, you know, tucked in nicely. I don't know if I'm explaining that very good, but I think I have sewn an actual vintage pattern one or two other times, but it's been like 10 years since I've attempted it. I ordered this one off Etsy. There's a lot of Etsy sellers. You can just type in your size. I'm a size 12 in vintage patterns. So just type in your size and like an era, and there are just hundreds or thousands of different patterns. So I found this one, and the pattern was actually it was very hard to follow compared to modern patterns. They definitely assume that you know a lot, probably because ladies who sewed in the 1940s probably did know a lot already about sewing. So yeah, there were a lot of techniques, particularly the way the buttonholes are constructed. It's not, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a covered, like you don't actually see any of the thread on the right side. And I kind of did it wrong, but it looks good from the outside. I'm not sure if I would do that technique again because it was kind of complicated and it's very fiddly because you're working with just tiny little strips of fabric. I might just do regular buttonholes. It's not that noticeable. I also used the serger on the inside for finishing seams, and it didn't have that option in the pattern because I'm guessing ladies in the 1940s probably didn't have sergers. So yeah, it was a little hard to follow. I did make it in one day. I made it the day before the photo shoot, of course. I didn't interface anything. I don't remember if the pattern suggested interfacing the collar, but I didn't. I maybe should have just a little bit, but if I iron it, it does lay nice and flat. I just wanted a really kind of casual shirt. The sleeves are slightly gathered, so it has that vintage look. And again, the sleeves are a little bit longer than traditional, or not traditional, modern short sleeves. More like this. So I don't know what else I have to say about this. It fits really well. I feel like there's a lot of room to move. I like the collar shape. It's really delicate. It's not like a huge collar. It's really nice and just soft and feminine. I think that's maybe one of my favorite parts. Oh, it also has gathers right below the shoulders. It's hard to see in the printed fabric, but it does have gathers. So it just has a lot of space to move. Has a little bit of gathering. Oh, there's some threads. It's a little bit of gathering on under the back yoke, and it also has darts on the back. So yeah, I would love to make the shirt again. The only thing I would change is the length. It's super, super short. I wanted it to be able to tuck into high-waisted jeans, but I have a long torso as it is, so I think that's part of it, but also I think the high-waisted jeans I have are not as high-waisted as they would have been in the 1940s, or skirts. Because in the photo, the shirt is tucked in, and it looks like, you know, there's lots of space for it to be tucked in, but there wasn't any way I could tuck this in. It was almost cropped. So I would definitely add like 2 or 3 inches on the length. But I would love to make this again. Yeah, now that I've made it, I think it would be much easier. I love this fabric. Just Liberty cotton lawn. This is the first time I've used Liberty. It's just so fantastic. Just really soft and silky. If you've never worked with it, just get some. Super expensive for a cotton, but it's just such good quality and the prints are gorgeous. And if you love vintage style, there's not really anything like it out there. Yeah, I want to make more of these because summer is coming and I haven't really had a chance to wear this since the photo shoot because it's been so cold, but I definitely want to make more. So something else I just want to talk about, after making these 2 garments in particular, I really felt like I had a revelation. I think we're all constantly on this journey to discover like our personal style and what suits us best, what speaks to us and makes us feel comfortable, and what sets us apart from everyone else and their style. And it is a journey, and I think it's a never-ending journey, but it's nice to get glimpses of what your personal style is, and you know when you find something that just suits you perfectly. So this dress, after I made this, I didn't want to take it off, and I've worn it a lot since I made it. I call it my Prairie dress because it kind of, the print and the fact that it's kind of longer makes me think of like Little House on the Prairie, or, you know, being out on the prairie in a cabin, and it has sort of a Western vibe, at least it does for me because I wear it with my cowboy boots. It just, everything, the print, the pattern, the changes I made to the pattern, it just, I feel like it's perfect for me. And it's one of those garments that I put on and I feel like the best version of myself. Yeah, it's so wonderful. And then also the shirt I made, I also feel like that, like the print and the style, it's so me, or like the person that I want to be. The best version of myself. I feel like it just suits me, more so than modern day clothes. I think it was my last video I recorded. I had made a few things that I felt just did not suit me, and I haven't responded to all the comments, but I know I got some comments from people like suggesting changes I could make, or saying, you know, maybe just do it and try it anyways. But I really just feel like I'm at a point where I realize what I'm actually going to wear and what suits me. And it's really nice to have that feeling, but it is a little bit restrictive. I mean, at least it kind of feels that way, but I know that it's for the best, because I want to spend my precious time making things that I'll actually wear and feel beautiful in. And I also want to make the most out of beautiful fabrics. I don't want to make, if I had made something out of this fabric that I absolutely hated, that would have been heartbreaking. So, yeah, I want to honor the fabric and honor this time that I have on the earth to make things that are actually going to get used. So moving forward, I know a lot of people recently have been talking about their personal style, and building this wardrobe that reflects that. Athena Kaku, who is a wonderful YouTuber, recently came out with an ebook that is all about building your wardrobe, and that looks really great. There's a lot of really great reviews on that, so I think a lot of us are really thinking about that. I mean, I think we always have been, but it's definitely a movement right now for capsule wardrobes, or just a more curated closet with things that go together. So moving forward, I think I'm really going to stick with this sort of prairie dress look, sort of a vintage country look. I don't know, 1940s countryside. I'll come up with a word for it, but I just love it. I feel so comfortable, and I have a couple patterns I wanted to share with you for ideas I have for things I want to make. Definitely shirt dresses are something that fits into that style that I love. So I have quite a few shirt dress patterns. See which one I want to... Okay, I'm going to start with this one first because I also ordered this one off Etsy. It's a vintage butterick pattern. I thought this one had a date, but maybe not. It's also from the 1940s, I would say. Yeah, early 1940s. And it's a shirt dress, and it kind of has like a Western vibe because it has like the pointed yoke like Western shirts have, and it also has the top stitching. I just loved this one. Next, I have the Pauline Alice Cami. Sorry, this little shelf. This is for my yarn business where I store all my labels, if you're wondering what that is. Yeah, the Pauline Alice Cami dress. It's just a very basic shirt dress with buttons that just go down to the waist, and then I'm guessing it has like a side zipper. Pauline Alice patterns, her printed patterns, if you've never seen them, they're the most stunning patterns. They're expensive and they are shipped from Spain, so they're a bit pricey, but they come in this just beautiful little envelope, and the paper is really thick paper. It's not the little tissue paper. And then I thought just the coolest part about this, it comes with a little fabric tag to sew into your garment. So it says Pauline Alice Sewing Patterns made by me, and it's just the most beautiful little detail. So that one is one I want to make. Similar to this one actually in style is McCall's M7351. Just, yeah, a very basic shirt dress with the collar. This one has buttons that go all the way down, and it looks like it also has like a belt option. Yeah, just super basic, different skirt lengths and hem styles. This one I'm really excited about, the Nina Lee Q dress. I actually have fabric to make a jumper style, so or like a pinafore dress, is that what you would call it? So like a winter dress that you would wear over tops in the winter. I got some corduroy for that because I'm shamelessly wanting to copy Rosa from Sewn. She did a version in like a green corduroy and it was so beautiful and classy and fun. So I got like a burgundy corduroy, but now that it's warming up, I kind of ran out of time to knit that for this winter. So, not knit, so have I been saying knit this whole time? I hope not. Yeah, I just love the style of this one. It also has a really vintage 1940s style with the sleeves and the length. So that one totally want to make. This one, the Sew Over It vintage shirt dress, I actually have this one cut out right now, ready to go. I've been wanting to sew this one for quite a while. And I had the PDF pattern and printed it out and kind of decorated the envelope. Yeah, I have the fabric right here. I can show you. So it's sort of a mint, not a mint, it's like a pale sage green with flowers. And this was just a really cheap quilting cotton that I got at Joann Fabrics. It was on sale for really cheap. So I got this to make sort of a wearable muslin because I have never made a sew over it like garment. And I've heard they run kind of big, and yeah, I'm very small in the chest and waist, so I'm kind of concerned that it won't fit. So I wanted to use something cheap, but also pretty and something I would wear. So I really want to make this. I actually might get started on this evening. And is that it? Yes. That's all I have to share with you. Yeah, I hope to get a lot more sewing done these next few months. It's warming up. Today is super beautiful. It's actually hot in this room right now, so wearing a dress is just perfect. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.